Hey, what's going on, guys? So today we're checking out a cool flashlight. This is something new from RovyVon. I'm a huge fan of the company. My wife, actually, one of her favorite lights is from RovyVon. They have like really unique different UIs, and a lot of these different models are kind of like, you know, squared off, and they have two heads on the front as well as separate LEDs on the side. So they become extremely universal. As far as how the UI works, they can be a little confusing. When you first get it, you're just going to be hitting buttons all the time, left and right, until you finally figure it out. But once you actually use a light consistently, it really is second nature to figure out, you know, how to get to certain functions. Initially, it's always complicated, and who knows, maybe even, you know, forget in this video. I've been testing this a lot. I tested it through 2 battery cycles, which is usually what I'll do when I have a flashlight. I'll charge it up as soon as I get it, and I'll play around with it, and I'll use it until it goes dead, the rechargeable battery. And then oftentimes I'll do it a second round until it goes dead. By that time, I'm pretty familiar with the light. I have an understanding how it looks. I always check it outside at night. I don't always do beam shots anymore. You know, maybe I could integrate that into the future, you know, in other videos to show you, because obviously that's what matters, what it looks like at night. But I don't know, I just thought it was a little boring. I do it for testing, but anyway, these lights are really, really universal, right? Like there's so many different features and functions on them. I like them because they're almost always a small form factor. These bigger squared off lights are, you know, slightly bigger. The other ones, and like I forget the model offhand, my wife loves, but it's slightly cylindrical. It's like maybe 2/3 of the width of this, but a little rounder. It's still flattened. It's not like a tube like a lot of flashlights, but they're just super, super helpful, really. Now this version is the Angel Eyes E5. Let me show you, they have a ton of variants, obviously slightly older models, but they have so many different options. It's kind of ridiculous. And if you're a baller, they have some really cool ones, but they're super expensive. So you can see the one we're looking at today, $46.95. Again, this is RovyVon's website, but I believe it's the same on Amazon. They do fluctuate a little bit. I did notice that. You can see anywhere from like, you know, this $46.95 to like $48, $44 for some reason. So I guess it depends on the seller, but different versions, titanium if you want. All right, $229 though. So I don't know how much titanium matters to you. However, if you want some really cool ones, like I said, some bowler models, they have some really interesting limited edition versions in titanium for colors. That's just super, super cool. There's another one. There it is. That's the one I remember. I mean, it's awesome looking. $290, you know, that's up to you, of course. You know, like I said, if the tie really matters, let's see, maybe even more here. I've seen different versions too of the Angel Eyes, but again, many variants. Also worth talking about is like a lot of their flashlights, the side panel has 3 LEDs. This one happens to be cool white LEDs on the front and warm white LEDs on the side, which is really cool having both options. And this one happens to have, for the third one in the middle, a UV LED. They do have a version of this in red, which is common. Like a lot of their models will have that option. You know, do you utilize a red LED, you know, more to maybe like, I don't know, some kind of tactical situation, or to preserve your night vision? Maybe you want to put it on a table and read a map or book or something at night and still be able to see, or, you know, do you want to use UV? I always kind of choose the UV. The red is cool, but I actually use UV. UV is fantastic. I think I have a whole video just talking about the benefits of using UV LEDs. You can find, you know, pet stains if you have dogs and cats and stuff. You can see where they're peeing around the house to clean it better. You know, if you're traveling, you could see those miscellaneous bodily fluid stains you might want to avoid sitting on. Stuff like that. So, yeah. Anyway, the gist of the light, 2 LEDs on the front, 3 LEDs on the side. We have 2 buttons here. The big selling point for me for this particular model and ones like it is the fact that this has on the left side here, or the right side if you look at it, because it's a clear body, this is an internal lithium-ion rechargeable battery. But we also have a slot for a AAA. So this is a dual power source flashlight. This is fantastic. What I like to do, and what I would imagine a lot of people would do, is you would use the rechargeable battery side, and you can manually choose. Right, it will automatically divert to what has power. So if you don't have a battery in here, obviously it's going to directly run off the rechargeable. But the whole concept here, right, with the preparedness mindset, is that you have this charged up, ready to go, but you have a fully charged up, or regular brand new alkaline AAA battery, and that is your backup power. So you use the charge side, and oh, I forgot to charge my light, now it's dead. Well, you can immediately switch over, or do it automatically, but if you wanted to switch over to the battery, now you can run off a battery. So let's say you don't have your cable with you, you're out and about. This, again, being small like this, it's going to be part of your EDC most likely. You're at the store, you need to use your flashlight, you've been playing around with it, uh-oh, it's dead. You can switch over to the battery side. Even if the battery is dead too, you can source AAA batteries anywhere. You run to a gas station, grab AAA batteries, you don't have to worry about sitting and waiting and charging this. I think that's huge. It's huge with any flashlight, but particularly in this little tiny package, I just think it's extra cool. So there's a little slot on the side and a lever, I suppose. You can't just lift this, okay? This huge, like, something to remember is you're gonna break your nail, your fingernail, or maybe even break the flashlight if you try to just lift this. You have to push down on the head to relieve some of that pressure before you can pop that little switch. All right, once it's popped, all you gotta do is rotate it. All right, you can see the battery. So you get your single AAA. I have an Energizer, the Max ones. All right, push the head down a little bit, turn it, close that, and you're good to go. All right, so we have a blue light and a green light. The green light is for the alkaline battery, and the blue light is for the lithium ion. All right, so actually right off the bat, we'll show you how to change that manually. If you push the top button once, we'll be in like moonlight mode. This is the low mode. If you triple click 3 times, it'll switch over. So right now we're forcing this to run the power off of the rechargeable. If I do it again, it'll switch over. Now it's going to be just drawing the power from the battery. Okay, so you can manually do that. And as I mentioned before, I do like the rechargeable first, so the batteries are backup. All right, so to go over the different modes, as far as the front there, the double, the angel eyes, I suppose, right? That's what it's called. There's 2 eyes up front. So first button. At any point in time, you push and long hold for temporary on the full output, which is 700 lumens. Okay, that's it. It's just really, really simple. Most times you're going to be using this mode, right? Most times you're going to be holding the light. You just want all the power it's capable of. You take it out of your pocket or wherever you happen to have this, clip to a bag. By the way, the clip is reversible and removable. It just snaps on. It's important to note there's like 3 grooves on the side. The top 2 look like the clip might be able to fit on there. They're not. They're not as wide as this one, so they're not going to fit normally. It's the bottom one, okay? So you can see how it's positioned here. But you can have it with the head down, which I prefer, or you can swap this so that the end of the clip is open on this side, so you can have the head up. Just depends on preference. But yeah, you're going to take this out of your pocket. You're going to push and long hold the top one. Use a flashlight. Usually when you have a flashlight, you're using it for a few seconds. You're looking for something, and that's it. When you're done, you let go and it shuts off. That's the easiest mode, right? Very, very simple, momentary on, full power. But if you actually want it hands-free, or if you want it on for a while, whatever, you don't want to, I don't know, maybe your thumb's fatigued. Who knows, right? First button is just the moonlight mode. Then you double click, and then single click to change those modes. So we have low, medium, and high. All right, you push and long hold to shut it off. That's it, really simple. Now the side panel, we have the second button on the bottom. All right, so first click is going to turn on 1 warm white LED. The second click is going to make it high, which is basically turning on 2 warm white LEDs. And again, the camera's not doing this justice. Like I'm looking through the viewfinder, it looks kind of cool white. It's not, it's very much warm white. The flat head, they, pitch, be able to just set this on a table. So let's say you're doing something, and specifically maybe in a camp setting, and you don't want to interrupt whoever you're in the camp with. Let's say you're a dude and you're with your wife, you're camping, and your wife's sleeping, you wake up 2 in the morning, you want to drink or something, maybe, read something, look at something, you don't want to really blast a bunch of light around and disturb anyone. This is fantastic for that, right? So, obviously it does headstand in this case. So that's your warm white option on the side there. And then at any point in time, you can long press to shut that off. Now, if you notice, there's a slight glow. This entire body here is a glow-in-the-dark plastic, all right? To really kind of charge that, you use the UV light. So it's a double click on the bottom button. And now we have our UV light, which works like UV, which is very nice. All right, pick up all kinds of weird stuff. But then when you shut this one off, it retains that glow very, very well. I mean, it's super glow in the dark. Now, if you notice, kind of half the bottom of the body is glowing. I've noticed that when the battery is out, obviously it's allowing that light to extend more. So it glows even brighter and better when you don't have the AAA battery in there. All right, on the bottom here, we have a large lanyard hole, all right, or there's even a smaller one the other direction. So let's say you want to put a split ring on here but have it flat. I really love that option, which I've done before on previous models. So very cool, very thoughtful little, you know, extra hole that goes all the way through that way. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. It's kind of straightforward. It's very, very well made. The 700 lumens is totally adequate for most, you know, things. Obviously, it's up close. It's a tiny little light. You're not going to be searching up trees, you know, 80 feet in the air with this thing. But I would say 90+% of the time you need a flashlight. This is going to do the job. Like I said, it's small, compact. I like that it's flat. It's rectangular. So when it's clipped in a pocket, it really does kind of sit kind of flat. If you're used to cylindrical flashlights, that's going to be a huge deal. A lot of people are just going to just throw this in the pocket loose or maybe in a bag or something. It's just fantastic. I mean, I like their stuff across the board. I'm just a big fan of RovyVon as a company because all their products are pretty cool. In fact, I have a separate video I'm going to do on a new titanium carabiner they have, which I love. Very interesting, the extra tools in there. Now, as far as the price, I think $50 is reasonable for what you're getting, all things considered. But it's not cheap. The average person is not going to spend $50 on a pocket flashlight. That seems ridiculous. But obviously, gear people, we know what the deal is. If you want, you know, some of the coolest stuff out there, you got to fork over the dough. That's just how the game works, right? There's nothing wrong with having, you know, a $5 or $10 flashlight in your pocket. You turn it on, it works, it makes things bright. This is for the gearhead. This is for the EDC guy, right, or gal, who wants all the extra gadgets and different features and options. It's just, it's packed full of stuff for the money. But I think its biggest feature to me is having a separate power source. The dual power source is a really big deal. Like I said, I've been in positions in the past where I have a flashlight, and of course when I want to go use it, especially after testing things all the time and going through so many different, if you own 2 flashlights, you're probably going to keep them charged, right? I own quite literally 300-400 flashlights. So like I'll grab one and use it, and maybe I forget to charge it, right? And then I grab one and I want to use it, and I rotate through different things constantly too. So if I go to rotate through a flashlight and I turn it on, and most times in modern flashlights, you'll be able to see that, you know, how much power is left. They're power indicators. And I'm like, oh crap, it's almost dead. And then I have to grab something else and just remind myself to charge that. But in this case, you have that option of just throwing in a fresh cell. And I keep tons of alkaline batteries around. So it's just, for that reason alone, I like it. But the, you know, the extra UV LED, the warm white side, the cool white, the, you know, head standing, so you can do it hands-free on a table or something. All these different options come together, and that's what makes it worth the $50 for specific types of people. But I just think it's really neat. It's very cool. I'm not sure offhand if this orange version does come with 2, I want to say both options with the red LED or the UV LED, but the blue-headed one we just saw, let me check actually real quick before I go here, because I'm not sure if that has different functions. It has the blue head on it, but it looks like it has the same features and the same options. It might just be a slightly different color, but I'm not sure 100%. Again, there's so many variants on these, it's crazy. So like, look, the E7 here, this has the option of the 6500K cool white or the 4000K high CRI. Same thing with the E5, all right? But this one is the cool white version. All right, and then for the side options, we have the warm white LEDs and the UV, which we have on this one, or the warm white and the red. Same price. It looks like the same LEDs, same functions, things like that, but not 100% sure here. Let me go back. I'll show you this one again since that's what we're talking about, the E5, all right, with the orange head. And again, same options for the main LEDs up top. All right, just becomes preference. Because I have the warm white on the side, I like the cool white on the top, but you might, you know, prefer the latter. But the difference here looks like just, I mean, when it glows, obviously it's blue instead of that greenish color. So I don't know, you'd have to check it out yourself. Like I said, there's just so many different options with these. By the way, this is the box came in. All right, little case, nice for display. Of course, we have instructions in there, but we do get 2 spare split rings for the back. It's nice because they have a round traditional style split ring, get that to focus, and then they have a flat split ring So it's really, really nice. And we have an extra little trap door for our charging port, which is on the side, which I didn't show before. Pretty standard. One thing I do want to mention though is that I noticed that when you put the pocket clip on, it does lift up the end of that little trap door. It's not a big deal. I can get to it, but it's not as easy to get your nail in there with the pocket clip on. So just a quick little note on that. But yeah, that's it. Very cool flashlight. I definitely dig it. As far as EDC lights, I mean, I'm all over the place. Sometimes I'll carry something small like this. Sometimes I'll carry something. For EDC, the biggest I'll go is a 21-700, and that's kind of pushing it. And that's certain situations where like I don't have my gun. Because when I can't carry my gun, if I go to like New York State or New Jersey or something like that, then I beef up my knife and flashlight situation. I carry a massive cold steel knife, you know, 6-inch blade, a folder. Almost every single time I'll do that, and I'll pair that with being able to carry a full-size like 21-700 flashlight in a holster on my side where my gun normally would be. You know, so it just depends on the situation, but more times than not, I'm not carrying flashlights that large because I already have the weight of you know, a firearm. So I wouldn't really do both unless it was part of my job or something. You know, it becomes a little bit too much. But anyway, very, very cool flashlight. I definitely dig it. All right, stay tuned. I will have a video again on that keychain tool, which is equally as exciting. So that's all. Let me know if you guys rock a RovyVon flashlight in your EDC setup. If you do, which one do you have? And what do you think of it? Thanks for watching. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow with a brand new video. Take care.